Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are crime dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Cross Season 1, Episode 2. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. We're first and foremost picking up in the aftermath of last episode. It all revolves around Tavio's phone, which went missing, and luckily there was video caught of sadly when he died, and we see that Vanessa, his girlfriend, ended up taking the phone, and she saw that there was a message on it, and that was from Amir, because we know that there was like a one phone call between them. I don't think we ever got clarification on whether or not Amir answered. I think Tavio probably called him after getting the recording, as we find out later on in the episode. It's probably after he got that he probably called Tavio, but Tavio probably called Amir, but Amir didn't pick up because he might have already been dead by then, maybe. Either way, when it's all said and done, Vanessa is on the run because she doesn't know who to trust. Because I think for her, it's a thing of she's not quite sure if the police are responsible for killing Amir and then they kill Tavio to hush it up, because even the newspaper plays it. It's like, right, is this gang beef or is this a police cover up? So that's why it's like, right, you don't turn to the cops. Once again, it's a complicated thing because it's like, especially with everything going on with the defund the police conversations, and one of its most outspoken activists, Amir, dies. Once again, there's already a very complicated relationship with the black community and law enforcement. You know, probably more so in some areas than others, but there's always going to be that underlining, like, do you trust the cops? If you're, once again, I don't know how a lot of other minority communities feel, but that's how some people in the black community, I'm not going to say everyone, but I think there's a decent portion of that the black community who's just like, you can't trust cops, and that this whole situation is just a powder keg ready to explode. That's why Anderson wants to handle things the wrong way, but she's handling things the way she does because she's trying to handle it like a PR situation when it's like, yeah, this is not the time to be trying to spin narratives, but she's doing what she's doing, and that in turn is actually just going to make things worse in the long run. But yeah, Vanessa's on the low. She's doing everything she can. She has to leave her son Tavi with her sister, and so when Alex and John come to talk to her, she's not getting, like, because it's like, right, how do we know the cops are here to help? Like, they're probably here to do more harm than good. So once again, that distrust of the cops, and it's like, at the time, I doubt she didn't know where her sister was either way. Like, she was very clear of, like, even later on when they talk on the phone, she didn't tell her. So, because it's like, right, this way, you don't have to lie to anyone. You can be honest about, like, yeah, I just straight up don't know where you are. It's a rough situation, but, like, we have Bobby hunting her. Because, once again, I guess it's just a pure payday for Bobby. But he's telling, once again, Ryan Eggo's character's name is Ed, right? I think it's Ramsey, but I think it's Ed Ramsey, right? I don't remember. But like Ed, it's like, you need to slow down. But he's like, no, I found my next victim. In fact, it's the last one. So I guess his little murderer homage scrapbook that he's making, I guess he's filled it up now, and Eileen's the last one. Why these specific people? Like, I don't know what his obsession is with, once again, it's like John Wayne Gacy, the Sandman, and Eileen Warner. Like, I don't know what the correlation is there, but either way, Bobby's the one that's gonna have to clean this up. And you have Ed being like, oh, I might need to look more into Alex, and Bobby's like, I know Alex by reputation, never worked with him, but you do not want to mess with Alex. Like, don't even like get him started. It's just like, last thing we need is him sniffing around. He doesn't have any hard evidence, he's guessing, but his gut is good, and he has the instincts and the know-how to kind of put the pieces into place. So, but yeah, like the whole, because Bobby's, I guess, interesting feels like a weird word to say, but like, he is an interesting guy, because it's like, I don't know if he has to psych himself up to do what he does, at least in this case, because he was getting high and drinking, and it's just like, well, you're kind of like the cleanup crew. You figured you'd have to be clear-headed. To be fair, he's like he got the room right next to Vanessa, but I'm wondering because like we don't know if he was on anything when he killed Tavio last episode, so he could have been. That might just be his ritual of, yeah, it, like, you know, you were a cop at one point in time, so to kind of switch off that humanity, maybe you need to numb yourself. Like maybe that was his process even then, because he was just like hyped up listening to music and just acting erratic and crazy, but he has his shit together enough to orchestrate and just pop up in Vanessa's room and not be like tweaking or losing himself. So I guess it's like maybe it's some concoction balance he has going in his system that helps numb him, but also like maybe, like I said, even though he's a serial killer, he's this terrible person, kind of a, you know, once again, how him and Ed got in connection, how that even came about, we'll have to probably wait a while to find out. But that Vanessa situation was like heartbreaking, because it's like, well, for one, we know he's next door, she's calling up Hightower, a reporter, to talk about this, you know, and the moment she left the room and came back, he was already waiting for her. But he's like, yeah, like, put the code in and I'll disappear. It's like, well, and Vanessa's not stupid. She's like, for one, I don't want to take the chance I give this to you, you're going to delete. There's no guarantee you're going to let me go. Because the fact is, you saw his face. You were too much of a loose end. He couldn't take the chance, for one, that you've already heard the recording. So, because they don't know what the recording is, you know. So they just know it's something that's on the phone that's incriminating that they need to get rid of. I mean, damn, dude, like him like choking her and we see like she's kind of bleeding from her mouth and her nose. It's just like, oh god, you're just kind of scared because you knew it was going to be brutal, and he's choking her. And how does he end up killing her? He slices her throat. You're just like, oh. Because I was kind of halfway expecting at any point in time he was just going to pull the trigger on her, but it's like, I guess he sliced her throat because he's like, if I pull the trigger now, that leaves too much evidence. Like, that'll still live, maybe, like, I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to pick up the shell casing, or was it just to make her suffer because she complicated things? It's like, right, the cops, like, by that time, Alex and John are already there, so I'm curious, is, like, was that just to, like, not draw attention to the room immediately, because they'd move even faster if they heard a gunshot. So maybe that, once again, less to deal with. You slice her throat and you move on. But it was just like, there's something about, I don't know, that makes it even brutal, more brutal and sadder, because it's just like, you're hoping, just on some level, you were hoping Alex and John would be able to get there in time. It's like they were so close. He had just slit her throat, but it's just like, there was never going to be a loose end situation, especially because he saw Alex and John on their way. So he was never going to leave her behind to be some eyewitness to say what he looks like. So, especially for Alex, when he's cradling Vanessa and all he can see is the day Maria died, you know, and that's why he's cradling and holding her. And it's just like, ugh. Especially that scene he has with Tavi later on, when he's like, it's not going to be a good day. He's like, why not? It's just, don't worry about that right now. But it's like, everything you need to get through this, you have that strength in you because you're superhuman. You're a superhero. Say you're superhero. He's like, I'm a superhero. And I'm sure the reason why Mel, Vanessa's sister, rushed him was like, get away from him, because once again, she's probably under the belief you killed my sister too. It's like, it's the bodies just keep dropping one after another, you know, especially all these people connected, Amir, Tavio, and now Vanessa. It's just, yeah, it's just going to add to the validity that, yes, the cops aren't responsible for this, once again, to some extent, because Bobby is a former cop. So, but yeah, it's just, like I said, I think for her, it's just like, you get away from, because it's like, the moment my sister drops dead, sometime after you in particular, like Alex, came asking about her. So it's just like, right. I mean, it's not even like Alex and John led to kill her. Like, Bobby got the information out of, like, I think Vanessa's coworker, because he showed up at her job being like, oh, so where's Vanessa? You know, have a means to get in contact with her. You're just like, I don't know if that person is dead too or not. You'd assume so, considering she saw Bobby. Like, she saw his face, and if someone put something together, like, I guess we're going to eventually find her body, so there's just no way he was going to leave a witness like that could describe him. Because I don't know if Alex is, like, once again, him and Bobby were, you know, working around the same time, but I don't know if Alex, even though they might not have worked together, Alex might have run into Bobby from time to time or something like that, or remembers him enough. I don't know. So that was just, that whole element to the story is just so heartbreaking because you're just like, oh god, you knew it was going to end that way, but you were just on some small level hoping that it wouldn't. But it's like, right, we're so early in the season, there's no way they're going to get such a big like thing like that. But Vanessa did have the wherewithal to, she sent the recording to herself, and I was like, because she sent, what was it, the Big Mom or something like that, and then he saw it, Bobby saw it go to her phone. He was like, oh, that's what you did, you sent it to your phone, and he destroyed, well, he ate both SIM cards. But I guess because like on her mind, in her mind, she's like, right, but it's going to be connected to my son's tablet because that's her tablet. So it could easily have been a thing of she forwarded it to that contact, but that contact might also send it to her, like her tablet, because that's where Alex gets it later on. It is kind of sad he has to console Tavi while also getting that information from the tablet. It's kind of heartbreaking. It's kind of like, you have to do this, but it feels a little scummy because this kid's world is about to flip upside down. I mean, hell, like while Alex is telling him, like, say I'm a superhero, while you can hear Mel in the like house finding out about her sister and just breaking down and screaming. Obviously, Alex has experience with that, not just going through it himself, which even he hasn't fully processed it, but he had to be there and probably put his son and daughter through the same, like, that thing. He had to probably give that exact same speech to them as well. So, and the sad thing is he's telling this to Tavi without Tavi even knowing what happened to his mom. Because he was even saying, like, are you still trying to help my mom? And it's just like, oh, God. So we have that element of it. And speaking of the kids, the killer reached out to Janelle while she was playing hopscotch through the cameras, hacked into the cameras, and was speaking to her. They used like a voice modulator, so she's assuming like it was like a he because of the modulation. But yeah. And it's like, oh, you look pretty just like your mommy. And it's just like, that's... And then also the numbers on the hopscotch were changed so that it reflects the date and time when Maria died. You're like, that is just dark. And it's just like, right, it wasn't just about hacking into the cameras because they showed up there. So it's like, and obviously the killer wasn't going to get caught on footage. I'm sure that happened like after when Janelle went around the corner and Alex's mom followed after her. So obviously we also have the opening where Alex accidentally pulled a gun on Janelle and she's kind of apologizing, but he's like, no, you do not have to apologize. He's like, I had no right to scare you like that with just everything going on. But it's still, and John called him out. I was like, bro, you pulled a gun on your child. He's like, did I do something terrible? Yes. Am I going to forgive myself for that? No. But it's just like, with everything going on. But for John, it's like, you need to kind of get your shit together. You need to talk to somebody. Like, this isn't any way to live. But even he's coming into terms with that and having to figure that out. Like, right, how do I tell my children, like, oh, like, stay inside all the time because there's the killer that killed your mom might try to come after you. Like, I can't, like, my kids, like, live their lives in fear like that, and it's just like, but how do I let them go out there every day like everything's okay? So, like, finding that balance of, do you let them know, how much you let them know? Because obviously there's only so much he's letting his mom know too. So, because he heard the audio from the recording, but he didn't let his mom know what it said. So it's rough. There's also this interesting element with his son Damon, where there was like a Mozart program or something he was being a part of, but he kind of hid it, and his grandmother was like, why are you doing that? You got accepted. And he was like, I want nothing to do with it. You figured it had to have something to do with his mom, but we find out later on why, because it's about playing the piano and music. And because the teacher was like, oh my god, you have great placement. He's like, yeah, I learned it from my mom. And you're just like, right, that's why he wanted nothing to do with this program. Because I thought, like, he felt like, oh, I don't really want to do this program right now. I didn't know if it's like his love for the piano had kind of faded or whatever because of his mom's murder, which plays a little bit into it, but it's more so like, right, the person that taught you, that you bonded with, and like your connection to it is through your mom. And it just like, last thing you want to do is do anything especially related to the piano without that person no longer with you. It's like, why even do this? This was kind of our thing, and I'm like, without her here, I'm not going to do it. So that's so heartbreaking. Side note, I wonder, like, let me know in the comments down below. The actress who played the teacher, I was like, I don't know if that's the same actress that was in Titans season 3 specifically. She played Barbara's right hand at GCPD. I don't know if that's the same actress. If it is, it's just kind of interesting because it's like, right, that was Titans, a DC show. Aldis Hodge has been in DC stuff at least to my knowledge twice. I know live action wise, he was Hawkman and Black Adam, but I want to say it's like, was it Beware the Green Lantern? There's like, I think an animated, I don't think it was a TV show, I think it was a movie, but an animated movie where Aldis Hodge voiced Jon Stewart. I want to say it might be that particular project. I know there's some project because I remember him running into Phil Lamar and the whole thing about that. Like, oh, you know, obviously Phil Lamar being the OG voice actor for Jon Stewart in the Justice League Unlimited. I don't know if how much he's ever voiced Jon outside of that. Those are the things I know, but I don't know if he's voiced him in any other projects. Either way, tangents and all that aside. So I was just bringing up the DC connection, if anything, if that is the same actress I was thinking of. Staying on Alex really quickly, we do have the love life situation. Him and Elle. It seems like their history runs even deeper because she was referencing a song that was playing. She's like, oh yeah, remember, like, was it the junior high dance or whatever? She's like, oh yeah, this older guy, I asked him to dance. And she's like, yeah, the dance kind of got cut short. So it's like, all right, we kind of have to finish that dance now. And she's like, if the lights had never came up, I wonder what would have happened. And they're about to get down to business, but Alex stops it. Which I think I don't know, I guess situations like that, and you know, I don't mean anything by it, but it's just I feel like I never see that situation. Once again, just most things I've ever seen, it's always been like the roles have kind of been reversed in that situation of like usually it's like the woman that wants to be like, oh, well, I've been through something, I need to take it slow. Not saying it never happens, but it's just like I don't think a lot of instances. Once again, Alex's situation, it's understandable. It's such a fresh wound of like, you're kind of moving on, and you think you're ready, but then when it comes to that intimacy to that extent, it's just kind of like, whoa, I don't know if I'm ready. And she's like, I can wait. It's like, that's a complicated thing too, because she's like, I know what you're going through, I know what you're feeling, I'm not trying to rush you, but like, that type of intimacy is a part of a lot of relationships, and not being able to go there, it's almost like we're at the 75% mark and we're just not hitting that last quarter. It can be a make or break of a relationship. You know, I'm not saying sex is everything. It's just what it is in a relationship is bigger depending on the couple. So it's like it could be a big thing for them, it could not be, but it is still a part of the equation, and that could, you know, because for her it's like if we're never going to hit that step, that means you're still not fully there. Like that, will you ever be over Maria? And once again, we're still year 1, so it's always going to be kind of a complicated situation on that front. So you talk about, well, I talked about how much of a sociopath like Bobby is, and just how unhinged he is. Once again, like just the way he handled the whole like Vanessa thing, like I said, was depressing as hell. But then you have everything with Ed, like, you know, it's like he's charming enough to manipulate Shannon, being like, yeah, you kind of got catfish, but it's like, hey, I have a private life, I just don't want private. And he's like, oh, it caused issues in my previous relationship, my public life, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. I wonder if like the person Elle introduced him as is even the person he really is, because he might have, like, is that an identity he created? Like, is none of that the real him, is what I'm saying. Like, the person Elle introduced Alex to in episode 1, like I said, his name was Ed, but it's like, is that the real him? Is that his real identity? Because it was like, but I was about to say, it's like, it's not like you're some big time celeb. You are probably like someone of like high society, well renowned, but like not everyone on the street's going to recognize you, so you can just go about and kind of blend in. But yeah, the way he manipulated her, took her to that art thing, like he didn't say anything at the time, but I do think it's kind of a nice detail of the hand sanitizer thing, because the moment that happened, I was like, she got it. She got. Because I was like, the moment she came in there, because we found out from the recording from Amir, who thought it was a date as well, came over to Ed's place, and he's like, I didn't drink nothing, I didn't touch nothing. So I'm like, was it the hands? What was it that how did he get Amir in the end, if that's how, because Shannon got by the hand sanitizer, so, and Amir had enough wherewithal to be able to call Tavio, and maybe that's why Ed handled this situation the way he did with Shannon. Like, her phone situation being what it is, maybe the reason why he was able to do that is because he learned from the Amir Tavio situation that is like, right, can't let that happen again. I thought that was just kind of like a dark reveal, because at first when Ed's phone rings, I'm like, did he kill her mom or something? But it's like, no, he like tampered with her phone so that I guess his number appears as like her mom's number, or at the very least, like any messages or anything sent to her mom automatically goes to his phone. I don't know how that, like, what that exactly was. Either way, he got the message, so her mom never knew, and you're just like, oh god. Because he's already, we didn't see it in the episodes, but you know, he stalks his victim, so he's like, I've already seen you at work and you're home, because he's like, he knew about this was what I was talking about before with the hand sanitizer. He saw her do it at the art exhibit, because she touched the glass, and immediately I was like, oh, you're a germaphobe. And the moment she came in and immediately took the hand sanitizer, I was like, right, he did something to it, because he picked up on it. Once again, I think it's smart. He never said anything about it, he just kept it moving. But like, he took notice of it, and he was just like, he's clocking all the details. It's just, I think it's kind of a nice touch that we as an audience like didn't even notice that he noticed that, because he didn't comment on it. And I think that's kind of a smart choice, making it so that he didn't say anything, because it would have probably been too obvious, like, that might turn into something. You don't really think about it until like you see the hand sanitizer, like, yep, he did notice. So, and the fact is, he has like, you know, he's like, oh, you want a mimosa? And she's like, no, I'm not that type of... He's like, no, I'm not that type of guy. He's like, yeah, you think you got me figured out. He's like, no, like if I was... You know, he's like, there's a lot of sickos in the world. But it's not the drinks you have to be worried about. It's the hand sanitizer. It's like, yeah, I picked up on it. You got a whole bunch. Apparently, what did he put in there? Oh, fentanyl. So I'm like, okay. And so I was like, is that what you did to Amir? I'm like, how did you... I was like, not unless he hit Amir with something else entirely. Because I was like... Because Amir was alive getting his hair, like... shaved and stuff, like, because when we saw him in episode 1, he was still alive when Ed was doing what he was doing. So I was like even the smallest traces of fentanyl are deadly. So I'm like, I guess he did something else to Amir, and so I think Shannon's dead. So I don't think he has to. He's probably going to spruce up her body after the fact. But once again, maybe I'm misremembering, because it's been a couple days since I saw episode 1. So I'm curious. I'm trying to remember. Like, I could have sworn like when we saw Amir was still alive like for a bit before. Like, I don't think he was alive when his hair got cut and shaved. I think that was all after the fact. He does all the aesthetic changes after the fact. But once again, it is this whole thing of what was in your stomach when you died, because he did that with Amir. So it's like, I get like, how do you even go? I guess because he has to like put that in your stomach afterwards. I'm like, does he force feed you like after he's killed you? Like, how did he even do it? Once again, because like Amir wouldn't have eaten pork chops. So I'm like, how do you even go about that? I didn't even think about that at the time, but like, that's why I'm like, considering it was fentanyl, I'm like, well, Shannon had to be like dead now. There's no like, oh, she's gonna be alive for him. It's like, no, he gave her fentanyl. She has to be dead. So I don't know, man. It's like, wow. Like, I guess in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, she'll be the victim they can save. It's like, there probably will be a victim they can save, but the question becomes, which number the victim will it be? I mean, we've gotten technically 3 victims so far. Tavio was more of a cleanup, whereas, you know, Amir and Shannon were actual targets. Well, to be fair, it's like Shannon's supposed to be the last. So, well, we'll see. Like, maybe I'm being stupid, but I would assume fentanyl would kill her, but maybe we'll find out she is still alive, and maybe there's time to get to her. I don't know. I feel like, because because it's all about, like, this is supposed to be the last one. So, either something's going to go wrong, and it's not going to be perfect like he wants it to be, and he has his own methodology and psychosis where it's like, it has to be perfect, it has to be this, and maybe something goes wrong in his preparations to make Shannon Eileen, and because of that he needs to pick a new person just to kind of like make it perfect and make it all fit. We'll see, because she is supposed to be the final one, but like I said, just for that purpose, I'm like, that's why I feel like something has to go wrong with the Shannon situation in his eyes for her not to be the perfect Eileen. Like, he might have to pick someone else, or because I'm like, how would you once again, how do you decide she's the final one? I guess it's like, right, your book is filled. I guess that's how. But like, you seem to be insatiable, that I doubt like filling one book would be enough. once again, we don't know how long he's been doing this, how many victims he has, you know. Just so this doesn't end being too morbid, which feels weird to kind of do this, but it's something lighthearted I also wanted to talk about in the episode when John was kind of busting Alex's balls about the whole, like, go, you know, spend time with Elle. You need to have, like, some form of a wind down time or whatever, right? And he was like, yeah, you need to go in there and kind of get that good smell going on. He's like, oh, and Alex was like, oh, John, you smelling like, was it mothballs and Old Spice? Which, funny enough, like I mentioned last episode, I was like, oh yeah, Isaiah Mustafa, like the actor who plays John, it was like, the thing I best know him for is like the Old Spice commercial. So I was like, oh, I love the inside joke. So it's like, yeah, I literally mentioned that last episode. So for them to kind of play into that, it's kind of nice. Like I said, just kind of something lighthearted to kind of end off the episode, because it's just like, yeah, it's a depressing episode. So it's going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.